Can you believe it's been over 57 years since Cuba last competed at Miss Universe? If I'm being honest, there were moments where I felt like I wouldn't be able to experience this comeback within my lifetime, but the time has finally come. In this 2024, Cuba is making the grandest comeback in the history of Miss Universe. And of course, as a born and raised Cuban, I am here to give you a little bit of a history lesson as well as share with you guys some of the information about the upcoming pageant, the organization, and a lot more. So let's get right into it. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Why such a long hiatus? Cuba's absence from the Miss Universe pageant began in the 1960s during a time when pageantry was banned within the island because of political reasons. Miss Universe is an American organization, and obviously there was a lot of conflicts between the communists and the capitalists, especially in the 90s, but that's for a different video. Due to major differences in ideology between the United States and Cuba, pageantry was tagged as a capitalist concept and therefore it was prohibited within the island. This phenomenon led the Cuban diaspora to create their own version of the pageant, which they called Miss Cuba Libre, and they sent representatives to Miss Universe until 1967. Elena Salavarria de Mora was the last representative of our nation. But of course, times have changed quite a lot. And in 2022, the Miss Universe organization was sold to a Thai-based company, which once again, after many decades, reopened the doors for Cuba to enter the biggest pageant in the world, or the universe rather. I will take credit for being the one person who brought to Anja Kratutaptev's attention that Cuba had not competed at Miss Universe for over 57 years.
Would you be open to ever having Cuba back on the stage of Miss Universe?
Of course, you educated me.
Quite frankly, she seemed very surprised by this, and well, the rest is history. Now listen, you can call me biased or whatever, but Cuban women have beauty, brain, potential, talent, so much to offer that in my heart, it just pains me to know that they did not participate at Miss Universe for such a long time. That is honestly such a missed opportunity for representation, talk about issues that affect them, and just have access to an extremely large platform. I'm not saying this to brag, but Cuban women are amongst the most beautiful in the world. This is a known fact. And if you don't believe me, here's a photo of my mom during her youth. Cuba also possesses one of the highest index of education in Latin America, which makes it a country not only with beautiful women, but they're also very well studied, smart, eloquent, and you guessed it, committed. Cuba is such an unexplored market that there is a lot to share with the rest of the universe. Whether it is about our heritage, architecture, culture, our music, our food, Cuba has to offer a lot to the world, and who best than our beautiful women to represent us as ambassadors on the stage of Miss Universe. Of course, a key player in the comeback of Miss Universe Cuba is the Venezuelan designer Prince Julio Cesar, who currently leads the Miss Universe Cuba organization. But he is also well known and established within the pageant community, as he prepares candidates being sent out to different international pageants such as Miss Earth, Miss and Mr. Supranational, and now Miss Universe. Prince has been building a team of Cuban and Venezuelans who will be in charge of the preparation of the contestant that will represent Cuba at Miss Universe. And of course, we're talking about different skills such as public speaking, styling, and of course, on-stage performance. But also as a fan, as a nerd, it's quite interesting to see how the tables have turned, considering that Osmel Sosa, who is of Cuban descent, became the biggest queen maker for Venezuela a couple of decades ago. So a man who was born and raised in Cuba gave Venezuela most of their international crowns. And now Cuba is making a comeback to the Miss Universe stage, holding the hand of a Venezuelan. I mean, I just love destiny sometimes. It's meant to be. Let me tell you a little bit about the selection process, okay? The excitement is palpable. The moment that the Miss Universe Cuba application form became available, over 500 women of Cuban descent applied to become the next ambassador for the organization. That's insane, y'all, considering that some countries struggle to get 20 applicants. The selection process includes virtual castings, which will allow women from all over the world to join, followed by in-person interviews in Miami, because El Ojo del Amo engorda el caballo. Now, all of this sounds amazing, but at the same time, Cuba faces some challenges. First of all, since pageantry has been banned within the Cuban territory for decades, we are not really a pageant country. When you compare us with some of our neighbors, such as Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, we don't really have a pageant culture. It's not part of our identity, so it's a learned skill, an acquired taste in a way. I'm sure that if you've been here for long enough, you remember the days when I didn't know anything about pageantry. I am not very familiar with Miss Universe, with the contest, with the pageants, all of that. Yeah, let's not talk about that. I do think that although there is clearly a lot of interest from candidates from all over the world who want to represent Cuba, we also have to focus on the preparation of the candidate, making sure that they know all the technical skills and that they excel in every single aspect. Miss Universe is the biggest beauty pageant in the world, and I'm sure that after 57 years of absence and with such a huge comeback, all eyes will be on the Cuban delegate. This is why we cannot skip any step in the preparation. But do not worry, do not despair. If Cubans are known for anything, it's for our resilience. Am I right? We also have to consider that although the Miss Universe organization now belongs to a Thai-based company, the Miss Universe Cuba pageant is still being held in the United States. And I'll take you back to the beginning of the video. Remember the political tensions between the US and Cuba? Well, those haven't really changed much. So at this point, I'm still waiting to see what will be the national organization's approach, as ideally the outcome of it will be that the organization is able to offer equal opportunities for women who can represent Cuba, both inside and outside of the island. But that is yet to be determined. You know what? I truly think that Cuba's comeback to Miss Universe is kind of another step in the right direction for inclusivity. We have seen a lot of changes in the past couple of years, going from accepting mothers, divorced women, removing completely the age limits, accepting of all body types, and now going as far as disregarding certain political backgrounds. This comeback celebrates not only the beauty of Cuban women, but also it highlights a new era of opportunities for them on the global stage. So, cheers to that! Oh, and don't forget, Miss Universe Cuba will be held on September 15 in Miami, so stay tuned for that. All right, see ya!